Hi, I'm Kim Lawrence. I am the pre-medical programme coordinator this year, and I just wanted to give you an update on the application process so far and what's to come in the programme this year. The programme is aimed at supporting our students who wish to pursue a career in medicine, veterinary medicine and dentistry. Now, all three of those courses at university are becoming more and more popular every year and are very, very oversubscribed. An example, just to give you an idea, is the University of Leeds. It offers medicine and it has 200 places on its medicine course every year, and over 2,000 students apply for it. So it gives you an idea of how competitive the application must be. So as a result of this oversubscription, every single medical school has its own admissions criteria, and those must be met for an application to even be considered for interview. So we'll have a look at some of those entry requirements first. So over the next few slides, we'll have a look at a few different things that are required for entry onto medicine, dentistry and vet med programs. So things like specific GCSE grades. We'll talk a little bit about work experience and admissions tests. We'll then look at the UCAS application, and I'll give you an update with personal statements, which is what we're currently working through at the moment. Some specific A-level predicted grades. We'll have a chat about interview and when offers will be made. Universities often post minimum GCSE criteria on their admissions pages. So an example I have here is Hull York Medical School, which is HIMSS. They state that they require 8 GCSEs at grades 4 to 9, including English and Maths at a 6 and above. However, that is really just the minimum criteria that they expect for anybody who's applying. And what HIMSS will do is usually use a person's GCSE grades in order to rank them amongst all of their applicants to then shortlist for interview. So really, the higher GCSE grade profile that you have, then you stand a better chance of landing that interview. So having relevant work experience does help our students to develop their knowledge and understanding of careers, and looks fantastic on an application and in a personal statement. It has been difficult this year with the COVID pandemic and the restrictions that it put in place, and some of our students have struggled to land some work experience. But work experience doesn't have to be necessarily in a hospital or a GP practice. It could be some volunteer work at a care home or a hospice, for a charity, or even shadowing a practice nurse. There are also some online work experience programs that are available this year, such as Observe GP and the Brighton and Sussex Medical School's online work experience. For students applying for medicine and dentistry at university, they will be required to sit an admissions test that will be taken into consideration by the university when they're shortlisting for interview. So the two admissions tests are the UCAT and the BMAT. Different universities will require a different admissions test, the most common one being the UCAT. The UCAT admissions test is required by a large number of UK universities who offer medicine and dentistry. So the deadline for applying for the UCAT has now passed. It was the 17th of September. But as far as I'm aware, all of our students have either now sat that admissions test or they have booked it in for completion in the next few days. So that test is either sat at a Pearson VUE test centre or can be sat at home online, observed on a webcam by an examiner. It's a 2-hour multiple choice online exam with 5 sections: verbal reasoning, decision making, quantitative reasoning, abstract reasoning and situational judgment. So the students, when they've sat that, will be given an overall score for those first 4 sections, and then they'll be given a band for the final section, the situational judgment. The bands are 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1 being the best and 4 being the lowest band. And different universities will use this in different ways. So some universities may have a cap and say if you don't reach this score, then you won't be considered for, your application won't be considered. And many universities will not accept any applications if you get a band 4 in your situational judgment. So it's definitely worth having a look at the university's own admissions page on their website to see if there's any minimum requirements in terms of the UCAS. We've provided our students with many resources to help them to prepare for the UCAS. So on our Microsoft Teams page for the Medical Society, there are PowerPoint resources available that explain each section and go through some guided practice questions. And the UCAS website itself and the online website Medify are also fantastic resources for practice questions. The BMAT is the second admissions test. This is required by a fewer number of universities for medicine and dentistry. The BMAT is actually sat at Wyke. So our students must have informed us at the college of their intention to sit that exam by the 25th of September at the latest. And you have to actually state the name of the university you're applying for on your BMAT application. So this is sat at Wyke on the 4th of November, just that one test date. And it's just like the UCAS in the way it's a 2-hour test in different sections, but it's just 3 sections on this one. So the first 2 are multiple choice, aptitude and skills, and then scientific knowledge and applications. And the third is a writing task, so a short essay. So other than the admissions test, the other thing that our students are currently working on is the UCAS application. So UCAS is the online system that's used to make an application for university. So the students will fill out all of those details that are shown on this slide here, and there's a section called Choices, and in Choices is where you name the universities you're applying for and the courses. So for medicine, dentistry and veterinary medicine, you can apply for 4 courses at different institutions, and then there'll be an option for a 5th choice. And the 5th choice is in essence a backup choice. So it is a different course, but we recommend that you keep that related to either medicine, dentistry or vet med. So example, biomedical science or biochemistry. One section of the UCAS form requires our students to upload a personal statement, and the personal statement has been something we've been working on since before the summer. So most guides suggest the following sections. Section 1, an introduction, reasons why you want to study medicine, dentistry or vet med. So what is it that has inspired you? Section 2, details of your work experience, what skills you've learned from that work experience and any voluntary work. Section 3, any other interests or hobbies or other related experience and achievements. And then Section 4, a concluding statement. So we asked the students to submit a first draft before the summer. This was checked over and feedback was provided to each student on an individual basis. Since returning in September, I've asked all the students to send me personal statements, second drafts, so that I can again read them, check them and provide feedback. And I'll continue looking at drafts and giving that feedback until the college's internal UCAS deadline of the 2nd of October. Another section of the UCAS are the predicted grades and reference section. So all subjects that are studied at A-level, the subject teachers will write a reference for their student and give a predicted grade that's based on performance throughout the first year in that subject. Students should make sure that those are as high as possible and meet at a minimum the entry criteria for each university to increase the chance of getting an offer. I've advised our students that if they've not been provided with a high enough predicted grade, to approach their subject teachers, to have a discussion with them and to ask what additional work they could be doing in order to ensure that they can secure that high grade in their A-level exams. After the UCAS applications have been finalised and sent off in mid-October, the college will hold a mock interview evening for our medics, dentists and vet students. This will be in October, date to be confirmed shortly. So students will be exposed at this evening to what's called an MMI setup, which is a way of interviewing that's been adopted by a number of universities now. It's the multiple mini interview, in which the student will go to lots of small interviews with different people on different things. So example, one might be a data challenge, an analysis challenge. Another might be answering questions about why you want to be a doctor. And another small interview might be posed with an ethical debate question. During this mock interview evening, after each mini interview, the interviewer will provide feedback and guidance in order to ensure that each student is as prepared as they possibly can be for the real interviews. Once the students have attended their interview at university, then they will receive an offer. And this offer usually comes anytime between January to March. It could take quite a while for an offer to come through just because of the huge number of students that these universities will need to interview. And the offer that's made will be conditional, so it will require the student to achieve specific grades on A-level results day in the August. So many students are unsuccessful just because of how oversubscribed these courses are, but this is fine, there are other options. So we always recommend that students have a fifth choice on their UCAS application in case they decide to study something different at university instead. Many students choose to take a gap year after studying at Wyke, and this is a great way of building some further work experience before you reapply again through us the year after. Some will apply through clearing to a different course completely, and some will go on a waiting list if any universities on results day open up some additional places that they've not been able to fill. So just to finish up, I'll just hit you with a few key dates. A few of these have passed already, but it gives you an idea of our application timeline. So the UCAS early entry deadline is the 15th of October. This is when all the UCAS applications have to be completely finalised and sent to the universities. So at the college, we set our early entry deadline of the 2nd of October. So we would like all of our MDV students to finish their application by Friday the 2nd, because myself, the tutorial team, and the UCAS coordinator will spend our time going through each of those applications with a fine-tooth comb to make sure they're absolutely perfect. And if there are any issues, it gives us that time to iron those out and allow the students to make amendments. The UCAT registration deadline was the 17th of September, but as I said, all of our students have now booked that, and the last test date is the 1st of October. Hopefully our students who are sitting the BMAT have let the college know now, because the deadline was the 25th of September. For those who are going to be sitting it, the BMAT actual test date is the 4th of November at Wyke. Invitations to interview, so we sent off the UCAS applications on the 15th of October, and the invites for interviews usually come from November onwards, and then offers start to come in from January onwards through to sort of February, March, even maybe early April time.